you so much. Let's appreciate Alex from Gatsby Africa. They will be on the panel at some point, and they'll be speaking about the role that they do in enabling the development of the meat sector. I saw David Maina from AU IBA also. David Maina, there you go. Please pass it to David Maina. He's on the panel too. We did the RAFS project, I think in February. And David, take it away.
Thank you. Thank you very much for the opportunity. I was here last year, and I observed that there was too much meat and much less fodder.
Yes.
And I thought the connection between the meat and where it all begins is probably a bit loose.
Yeah.
I'd like to see a tighter connection today, and perhaps if it is not tight yet, to see discussions driving us to that connection between feed and fodder, the meat, and nutritional targets. Thank you.
Certainly. Let's appreciate David. I hope you're seeing we are in spirit, yeah? Feed and fodder. We are going to talk about that a lot today. Financial institutions, we need to now start looking at financial models of making sure that the feed and fodder sector is equally sustainable. Any ladies in the house today who would want to say something about the expectations as we close that section? Any ladies? There you go. There's one lady over there who is available. Please remember also to tweet and tag NTV, #MeetExpo 2024.
My name is Christine Lakono. I'm from Samburu County. We do fodder production.
Great.
But for some time now, I think we've been facing some challenges, especially on equipment. And my expectation today is probably to meet more investors who can at least help us in fodder production. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Let's appreciate her in a serious way. Coming all the way from Samburu to make it here. And we hope that your concerns will be heard. Any last person that I may be leaving out? Any last person? Foreign market, exporters, where are you? Local off-takers? Great. All right, Aseli, I think that's a fair point to leave it at. Sindio? So now that we have sort of set the agenda, Bona PS would just want to get into our program today. And as I said earlier on, we are live on NTV. If you're reaching us from home, please, the hashtag is MeetExpo 2024. And we also want to hear from you what you have to say about the meat sector, the opportunities thereof, and the whole value chain and how it's going to impact you. Ladies and gentlemen, we now want to get into our first section of speeches, of keynote speeches. And allow me now to invite to the stage Mr. Evans Makoha, the chairperson, and Mr. Evans Makoha to make it to the stage to come and make his opening remarks. Mr. Makoha? Let's appreciate him as he comes.
Our chief guest, PS State Department for Livestock Development, Country Director, AU IBA, CEO, Nation Media Group, all protocols observed. Good morning. Hamjambo. Thank you. It is a great pleasure, our chief guest. We have come here because of meat. When we started this thing in the first Meat Expo, there were very serious issues on safety of meat, safe meat, safe meat, safe meat. That is where we started from. But we have had 2 meat expos. This is the third one. But the main purpose of people coming together here is to stimulate efficient production and productivity of the meat animals in Kenya, whose meat and meat products can compete for the market space in the local market, regional and international market. That is our main aim for this purpose of the Meat Expo. In the first Meat Expo, our theme was safe and quality meat for nutrition, health, and wealth creation. In the second Meat Expo, which we held last year, we were looking at promoting resilient meat industry through investment, innovation for job creation, and economic growth. This time around, we are looking at revolutionizing the meat industry for top-up economic transformation. Our chief guest, the purpose of bringing the stakeholders together along the meat value chain, this including producers. I'm happy today we have the real meat producers from pastoral communities who have joined us in this Meat Expo. We really appreciate, and I want us to clap for the team that has come from the northern Kenya. Thank you so much for joining us. Those are the real producers. And we just want to have the conversation around the meat industry on production, safe and quality meat, and increasing the incomes from the meat. We have had several challenges, and we have had a number of milestones based on the meat expos that we have had before. One of the key issues that we cannot take note of is the increase in awareness, the people getting aware of the safe and quality meat that we want to consume, and looking at different aspects of meat. Now we are able to differentiate between the muscle and the meat. I remember during the first Meat Expo, we had an expert who had a conversation on the difference between the muscle and meat. So now, at least many people are aware of the difference between the muscle and the meat. Immediately an animal is slaughtered, we are informed that that is not meat, that is muscle, until it is cured to become meat. Another issue is the increase in demand of services towards meat production. Notably, we have had a lot of requests on information about the feedlots, and many people are now going into feedlotting for the purpose of producing quality meat in the country. There is also an increase in pasture and fodder development. I'm happy today we are going to have a conversation around that. That was some of the issues that have been hindering the production of the quality meat in the country. But today we are going to look at, have a conversation around the feed and fodder. And even the farmers have now increased in the production of feed and fodder. Another issue is the increase in export markets that we have noted because of the meat export that we have held. This is something which is very positive. And looking at the future prospects, we are seeing that we want to position the country to be a leading exporter of quality meat in the world. We are also looking at transforming the meat industry through technology and innovations. I also want to appreciate the members who have been planning this expo. State Department for Livestock, I want to appreciate the PS for giving us support. I want to appreciate Nation Media Group, who have been very instrumental. Kenya Meat Commission, KEPROPA, Caspi Africa, Kamlake, RETRAC, USAID, AU IPA, and many others whom I may not mention all of them. I want to appreciate them. And on this note, I would wish to invite one of our members who have been in the Secretariat to say one or two words. May I now call upon Nicholas Ngao from Kamlake. Please come forward and say one or two words.
Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. All protocols observed. I'll start with Bwana PS. Thank you so much for gracing this occasion. And Bwana Stephen Gitagama and Sarah from AU IBA. My name is Nicholas Ngaho. I'm the CEO for KEMLEC. Our work is basically to market Kenyan meat abroad, increase Kenya's market share, which we have been doing for the past 7 years, and we have made headways. And in terms of bottom-up economic transformation agenda, we are working with the entire value chain, back to back. And I'm happy to report that we are pursuing Qatar, which is the only, out of the Gulf Cooperation Council members, this is the only country we are not exporting meat to in the Middle East. We are trying to resolve that. We are hoping we'll make some headways this year. And on Oman, that's another area we are facing challenges in terms of live meat export. And for the pastoralists present, we are working on increasing market, especially to DRC. We are working on the prices. We are trying to open up China, Indonesia, and Malaysia. These are markets we are hoping will give us a better profit. I was in Isiolo the day before yesterday. I was buying animals. I'm also an exporter. And right now, the market is hot. What we call it in meat terms, soko iko moto. It's the high season for meat, and that's why you're seeing most exporters are not present. Yesterday, we slaughtered 14,500 heads out of the 6 export slaughterhouses. And the main issue now is shipping, because that's around 150 tons. 150 tons, we don't have capacity to export 150 tons in a day. I'm happy to also report that we have 8 airlines serving the Middle East market from JKIA. And from this year, we have started exporting through Mombasa International Airport. Clap for me. Thank you very much. And we are now working on ensuring that KQ becomes the preferred shipper for meat from Kenya. We are still working on that. We have also been victims of tax. There's a tax called UCR, which was implemented for exporters. And I believe we have to pay taxes to make sure that, even KQ is sustained, isn't it? I was given 2 minutes, so I'll just ask the chairman to give me 1 more minute, then I finish up. I didn't want to belabor you with a lot of data, but I believe we are getting somewhere. The current government is pro-livestock, and we can see the fruits. The PS is here to confirm that, and we are hoping that with the strategic partners, we will be able to do a lot. I want to acknowledge Obai Khalifa, the head of agriculture at the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. Now, officially, Bill and Melinda Gates is in Kenya, promoting livestock. So let's take advantage of that opportunity and ensure that, we reap the benefits. And on behalf of the KEMLEC team, I want to wish you a successful 3rd edition Kenya Meat Expo 2024. Thank you.
PS, with your permission, may I now invite Madam Flois Mukapana from Kepropa to make her remarks.
Good morning, everybody. Allow me to bring my salutations to the Principal Secretary, State Department of Livestock, Honorable Jonathan Mweke, Mr. Stephen Getagama, the Group's Chief Executive Officer of Nation Media Group, all the CEOs present, and all the partners present, good morning. I'm pleased to join you this morning for this 3rd edition of Meat Expo. This expo provides an ideal platform for sharing insights and experiences and showcasing the potential of Kenya's meat industry. The global market is projected to reach $1.8 trillion by 2025. This is driven by population growth, rising incomes, and increasing protein consumption. The global meat products market reached a value of nearly USD 1.69 billion in 2022. Kenya exports around 150 million worth of meats and meat products. Sorry about that, annually. But the potential to significantly increase its market share, and given its comparative advantages, remains. Potentially, Kenya can grow its exports meat markets to around 250 billion USD in 2027. Kenyan's strengths include being the home of one of Africa's largest livestock herds. We have proximity to the Middle East and African markets, and it also has halal standards. The African market alone presents a huge opportunity for the sector, particularly with the advent of the African Continental Free Trade Area that provides a preferential market access of meat and meat products to a large consumer base of around 1.3 billion people, and with a combined GDP of 3.5 US trillion. Ladies and gentlemen, by tapping into the international markets, Kenya can diversify its export base and strengthen its position in the global marketplace. A well-executed brand strategy will elevate the perception of Kenyan meat products, increasing their competitiveness and market share in the key export destinations. At Keproba, we have prioritized the meat value chain for export promotion through our recently launched strategic plan for 2023-2027. The plan sets out a target of increasing exports by 10% annually, with a key focus on product and market diversification. Ladies and gentlemen, with the changing consumer preferences and health concerns worldwide, consumers are becoming increasingly health conscious, demanding meat products that are not only safe, but are also ethically and sustainably sourced. Kenya is an undoubtedly preferred place to source quality products and services. A proactive and closer engagement with local media and our partners is key in supporting and amplifying the position of Kenya as a source of high-quality meat and meat products. Finally, I would like to reiterate Keproba's commitment to working closely with the sector players in championing the export agenda of meat industry in line with the government's commitment on an export-led economy. I'd like to thank you and wish you wonderful engagements as we engage in this third edition of the Meat Expo. Karibu.
Thank you. I now want to invite Madam Wamboi Barire, CEO, Retrack, to make her remarks.
Thank you very much. I stand on the protocols that have been set. I was thinking we need to learn something as private sector to have written speech, not speak from the head, because sometimes you say what you shouldn't be saying. I want to just say two things for the domestic market, because Nick has spoken about the export market. In the last 3-4 years, we see a rise in the consumption of meat within the retail sector, especially the formal sector that had various challenges pre-COVID, and we've seen an improvement. In fact, we've seen a rise of 30 to 40% consumption of meat from the supermarket, from the formal sector. And we say it's a good thing because one of the things that we had desired of the Meat Expo when we were starting is to engage consumers locally, to be able to understand meat and to be able to demand better and safer meat. One of the things that had led to the need to have this conversation was a market research that was done by Gatsby had shown that Kenyans do two things, boil meat or roast meat. And the outcome of that survey said the reason of that is that a lot of people don't know how else to cook meat, one, and two, to use the chair's example, we tend to cook a lot of muscle vis-a-vis cook a lot of meat. And again, to just explain that and really emphasize on it, meat is not meat until it has done at least 8 hours after slaughter. People say, but our forefathers always slaughtered and ate. Yeah, but we are told they slaughtered at 4 a.m. and ate it at 11. We slaughter at 11 and we eat it at 12. So we are eating muscle, and we are told there's actually nothing like hard meat. It is hard meat because you're eating muscle and not eating meat. The other thing I'll say about our domestic market, we have tried to continuously increase the knowledge within the sector, especially within the people trading with meat. And again, we've done a lot of work with the team that's doing Expo, even outside the Expo, again supported a lot by Gatsby, previously Kenya Market Trust, to work with specific retailers and see how can we improve the meat, the environment, the cooking of meat that is offered in select pilot butcheries that we use, particularly in the pork sector, that has really, really grown very quickly. We do hope as we continue, PS, we keep asking and requesting that we look into reviving the Kenya Institute of Meat Training, Kenya Meat Training Institute in Athi River, because we still see a lot of meat cutters vis-a-vis meat butchers. And that would also improve the amount of sales and quality and economics that we're getting out of meat. So that would go to becoming a source for employees for the retail sector. And then we stop exporting labor or people to South Africa to train, because that institution would really cure that gap. So we hope to have greater interactions over the next 1 week. We want you to spread the word. Let Kenyans come and experience the sizzling that has been set out, and again, to enjoy the various cuts of meat. Thank you very much.
Thank you. She kept the promise. Thank you so much, Wamboi. I now want to invite Lieutenant Colonel Kinuthia from Kenya Meat Commission to make his remarks. Karibu.
PS, State Department of Livestock Development, CEO, Nation Media Group, all the strategic partners, and all participants, good morning. I'm delighted to be here because KMC comes at the tail end of the livestock value chain, as our role is to offer market and pay premium prices to our livestock farmers. And that's our mandate, which we are doing by increasing production within the factory to ensure that as we talk about revolutionizing the meat industry, I think there cannot be, the best revolution we can talk about is to ensure the livestock farmer has money in their pocket. And this is the way we can be able to ensure that at the grassroots, everyone is economically empowered to be able to live a decent life, which we all desire. There are several issues as KMC we have noted, which we wish they are addressed. Because when you talk about you are at the tail edge and you want to offer quality meat products, there cannot be quality meat products without quality raw materials. The raw materials is the livestock. But I think this is where the challenge is. We have been told about the export market is growing. We have very good prospect from China. They want to open that market, especially for beef. And we have these millions and millions of livestock in Kenya. The question we should be asking ourselves at the end of this Meat Expo, do they meet the quality required in those markets so that we can compete? Because when you talk about that market, it's not only Kenya that is looking for that market, but the entire world. How do we position ourselves so that as we canvas for that market, we have quality that meets that market. And I think this is the revolution that we should be talking about. And we have found that basic things within the animal husbandry, they are really causing a lot of losses to us as producers or the people who are adding value. Basic things like deworming, you find yourself condemning all the red ovals. Per animal, you lose like 3,000, one animal, just because of a basic animal husbandry, like deworming. Then you slaughter a very nice bull over 500 kgs, but it has liver fluke. I think the veterinary doctors who are here understand those things. And then you end up losing 4 kgs, 3 kgs of liver. You look at, in line with the bottom-up beta, we are talking about the leather value chain. Here is KMC, we slaughter. For us, all our leather, we are offering it to the leather tanneries in Kenya, who are converting it into finished leather products. But one of the challenges we are facing is defects from tick bites. I think anyone who understands leather production will associate with this. I think prevention of or control of ticks is also a basic animal husbandry thing that we can be able to do and produce the quality leather that we want. So that instead of importing leather products, why can't we use our own leather? And I'm very sure it is enough to meet our domestic market and also be able to export. And I think this also anchors to our theme: how do we put more money into the pockets of our livestock producers in Kenya? I think as I conclude my remarks, I hope that as we also address the issue of food security, in Kenya, we have had a challenge where we have very good seasons. Like now, it's very good season for livestock. Then, from the meteorological department, we are likely in the next few years again to face a very severe drought. But how are we prepared to ensure that we reduce the severity of this drought? And I'm very happy that today, or within these 3 days, we'll be discussing about fodder production so that we prevent those issues of cycling drought. And also, how can we address the issue of the right time to harvest? For KMC, we have the capacity to produce corned beef. I think it's one of the best ways to increase the shelf life of the meat products. Because once you produce the corned beef, it has a shelf life of 5 good years. So, sir, in terms of food security, I know corned beef was included in the strategic food reserve. How can we actualize that so that you give the opportunity to the meat industry producers? How can we now take these animals when they are in their prime weight, when we can get the highest yield and be able to convert them into corned beef, which has a shelf life of 5 years. It's an opportunity even for export, and even to improve on our food security. I think, sir, as I add, I'll say that through this expo, we have seen Kenyans now appreciating what is quality meat product. If you look at the theme for the first expo, it was on what is meat. It's not the issue of muscles versus meat. And we have seen Kenyans appreciate. And I think if we continue with this discussion, then it means we will be able to change the way Kenya consumes meat and even enlighten more Kenyans on livestock production so that we are able to get more value. So I hope at the end of this conference, the things we'll discuss will form a building block towards improving the meat production in Kenya. Because with over 15 counties depending on livestock production, then I think talking about 12% contribution to GDP for livestock farmers, I feel it may be on a lower side. How can we perhaps double this? Then we'll see change in the lifestyle of all those 15 counties. I think, sir, I will add there, and I want also to wish all of us the best experience in this third Kenya Meat Expo. I wish you all the best, and let's form a good platform that will ensure that livestock industry takes the right place in terms of economic development in Kenya. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Our chief guest, as I exit the stage, I just want to say that my grandmother used to keep meat in ash in a pot that could last for a whole year, waiting for visitors. The moment you visit her, she removes it from the ash, dusts it, puts it in warm water to soften, and then she cooks. But technology, Bwana PS, has now changed. So as we look at technological development, we are looking at the soil that produces feed and fodder. Then we are looking at the animals, aspects of animal breeding. We want to get quality animals with good marbling that grow very fast and have higher weight so that we exploit this export market. And with that, I want to invite Brian. Thank you so much. We are going, this other side, we have a lot of nyama choma, so you can experience the sizzling experience for the Kenyan people. Thank you so much. Asanteni sana.
Thank you, Bwana Chair of the Secretariat, for that session. I promise you I'll share my earnings with you once I'm done moderating. Ladies and gentlemen, we are already into the agenda. Clearly, the conversation is now shaping from what is meat to now other influencing or other peripheral factors that are now seen as very significant in the production of meat end to end, from farm to plate. And as the conversation rages on, it's now time to ask ourselves, we've just had a season of a lot of rainfall. And I think this we talked about in the RAFS project, Dr. Sarah, about 4 months ago in February with the AU IBA. Why should we, for example, as a country, be having a season of rain at this time, wait until there is a season of drought, no fodder has been harvested, none has been put in silage or anything of the sort, and then we wait again to come and complain about drought. And then we now start either of taking animals or livestock at a very cheap rate, which does not give value to the farmer, and that also is not as top quality. So if we want to play at those international levels where we are a significant source of quality meat, then we have to have a wholesome conversation end to end, from farm to plate. So downstream up to the upstream of taker. And ladies and gentlemen, which is why we want to now build this conversation further by another set of speakers who would like to ask to be really brief and to the point. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me now to invite Gatsby Africa representative, Sam Kareithi, who is the country director. As he comes, just a bit about Gatsby Africa is an ambitious and dynamic organization committed to sector transformation and helping change lives for the better in East Africa. In livestock particularly, they are supporting Kenya to develop a modern and competitive meat sector, whilst also innovating models that maximize the extent livestock producers participate in and benefit from higher returns from the sector. Most welcome, sir.
Bwana PS and CEO of Nation Media Group, all protocols observed. Thank you, Brian. I think I'll share my salary with you because you've done my job now. It's quite good. Indeed, it is a delight. This is the third time that Gatsby is involved in the Meat Expo. I think we've been there since the first one, which was mainly on food safety. And it's good to see just how we've grown to start talking about other value chain issues, exports, and it's listening to Nicholas just how far we have come in just a few years. And it's really a delight. Just have a minute to just talk a little bit more about Gatsby because it's a good moment because we are talking about livestock and livestock has a lot of protein. Gatsby also has a similar program on commercial aquaculture. And Kenya has similar problems in aquaculture, very high demand, very good demand dynamics, very low production, and poor quality, poor genetics, just the whole story again, like we are seeing in livestock. And it's one of the other areas that we also are working in very closely with livestock. But PS, it's been talked about the issue of demand. There's so much demand for livestock. And 2 days ago, someone kept asking, so why is it not happening? And I'm sure we'll be able to see from the speakers and the practitioners in here just why sometimes you don't connect the dots. My good sister from Samburu talked about fodder, for instance, and every other speaker is talking about an aspect of livestock that needs to connect the dots to make it happen for all of us. The way GASB works is in a way that normally looks for where there is synergy, strategic partnerships that are aligned in a way that we can catalyze the momentum for livestock. Therefore, whether it's other development partners, we are closely working with the Gates Foundation as well, and also with the very, very, very ambitious and committed Department of Livestock, Asante Sana Bona PS, because this is very well noted how this department has been committed to this. We also like to align with other national government agendas, particularly the better approach and supporting the government in fulfilling that. And therefore, we're working across the chain where we can support and align with the better approach as well. Our involvement in livestock as well is mainly around the secondary production, not because the other areas of production are not important, they're very important, but it's simply because the secondary production is where we see a better entry point of already existing stock that can actually be turned around very quickly to high quality to meet the market demands that are there already. So issues of fodder, issues of feedlots and how we access the markets and the market dynamics around good quality meat ending in the market, in the farmer markets, is an area that we are very interested in. Our expectation today as I finish is that we as participants, all of us, will bring our best forward to address the key issues that drive this sector. So across the whole chain, let's also look for where there are roadblocks and where success can be found, where solutions can be found, whether there are issues to do with driving finance, driving the breeds that can give us the kind of stock that we need, the market issues that are there, the connecting the dots across the market. Let us talk to one another and find solutions through the 3 days. Asanteni sana.
Very well. I'll be speaking to your secretary shortly to send an invoice for that. Ladies and gentlemen, last year, I think in the last about 5 years or so, this is research according to the RAFS project, which is resilience this is Resilient African Feed and Fodder Systems. It's a research by the African Union, IBA. Shows that in the last about 5 years or so, 9.5 million livestock that are in the meat sector, I'm talking about goats and cows, died due to drought. And these were things that could possibly be avoided. We will quantify it later. Dr. Sarah will be on the panel. We'll quantify it later and look at a business case for that, just to help build up that conversation on why it is important for us now to have that end-to-end conversation around feed and fodder. To extend further on this, allow me to welcome the Director of Resilience and Food Security, Feed the Future Coordinator for USAID, Kenya and East Africa, Andrew McCown, to come and make his opening remark. Andrew, most welcome.
Habari za asubuhi. Hope I got that right. P.S. Jonathan Mweke, it's a pleasure to see you. CEO Nation Media, Stephen Gitagama, esteemed guests, partners, ladies and gentlemen, it's really, really wonderful to be with you here this morning at an event that we all know is aimed at promoting economic opportunities in the livestock sector. We know that by increasing incomes for livestock producers and creating jobs, especially for Kenyan youth, we can leverage the vast business opportunities within the meat value chain. First, I want to express my gratitude to all the partners who've organized this expo, namely the government of Kenya, the State Department of Livestock, our partners in ACDI VOCA, the Nation Media Group, AU-IBAR, the Retail Traders Association, Gatsby Africa, the list goes on. This year's Expo provides an invaluable platform for stakeholders in the livestock sector to establish connections and strategic partnerships, and we are very proud as USAID to partner with you all in support of such a critical event. The meat market in Kenya is projected to grow by 10% by the year 2028. This growth presents substantial opportunities for job creation, of course, and economic development for the country as a whole. USAID supports Kenya's livestock sector, and this underscores our commitment to economic transformation that aligns with the bottom-up economic transformation agenda and Vision 2030. We remain a strong partner with the government of Kenya and the private sector, and through that collaboration, we have facilitated improved production, aggregation, market system strengthening and development by supporting local Kenyan institutions that work with livestock producers. Our efforts include working with over 60 producer cooperatives, 50 livestock markets, and county chambers of commerce in particular ASAL counties. Additionally, of note, USAID has established a 6 billion shilling Impact for Northern Kenya Fund, known as the INK Fund, through our USAID KUZA activity that supports the growth of businesses in livestock producing areas. USAID strengthens Kenya's meat sector through activities like USAID KUZA, and also notably through our livestock market systems activity represented here today. I want to share with you a quick story about one beneficiary of our activities, a young woman named Miriam, an entrepreneur from Turkana County. Miriam started with a small herd of goats, struggling to make ends meet in one of Kenya's most arid regions. Through the support of USAID KUZA, Miriam received training in livestock management and business skills, and with this knowledge, she was able to expand her herd and started a small business selling goat milk and meat. Today, Miriam employs several youth from her community and contributes to local job creation and economic growth. Her story really is a testament to the transformative power of the kinds of targeted support that we can offer and the vast potential that lies within Kenya's livestock sector. A second quick success story I want to highlight is from Isiolo County. Our livestock market systems activity supported Irene Wangui, a 28-year-old entrepreneur with just a $300 grant. Initially a chicken farmer, Irene faced financial difficulties like many of us did during the COVID-19 pandemic. She ventured into rearing black soldier fly larvae, which convert food waste into high-quality protein for animal feed. This innovation lowered her feed costs and enabled her to train youth groups on insect farming. Irene's business, Masha Feeds Limited, now employs 3 full-time staff, and she has increased her poultry from 30 to 500 chicken and has significantly contributed to the community resilience and job creation where she is from in Isiolo. Finally, I just want to end by saying that, Kenya, with about 80% of its land classified as arid and semi-arid, faces a number of challenges. We all know that, including climate change, fluctuating rainfall, and water scarcity, to say nothing of economic shocks. Recent shocks, such as the worst desert locust infestation in over 70 years, COVID-19, a drought that affected 4.5 million people countrywide, and the Ukraine war's impact on inflation and food costs, and El Nino rains, of course, have greatly affected the country. Additionally, increased human settlement, significant land fragmentation, and severe degradation of grazing areas have compounded all of these issues and conflicts. To navigate these challenges and achieve its development objectives, Kenya really does need an economic development master plan for the ASALs, as it does for the entire country, that can be reconciled and seen by development partners and investors as something to support and get behind. We at USAID are committed to contributing to this master plan development and implementation. We are going to guide resource allocation to strategic areas identified by this plan that can help elevate Kenya from lower middle income country status and increase its resilience. Thank you for this opportunity to speak, and I hope together we can continue to work to revolutionize Kenya's meat industry and achieve sustainable economic transformation and partnership. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrew. I'm particularly very amazed by the examples you're giving of those young Kenyans who are doing well for themselves in the meat sector. And I hope this interests more young people to take part in this sector. I hope this gives you the hope that there is something for you in this. And as you can see, even if you're following from home, there's a lot of support in the industry. You have market linkages, you have production support, you have financiers, you have development partners who are here to always hold your hand and show you the way in the industry. So please take part, because I am personally taking part in it. Ladies and gentlemen, the next speaker is from AU-IBA. And AU-IBA is African Union, is an African Union organization that was founded in 1951 to study the epidemiology situation and fight rinderpest in Africa. AU-IBA's mandate covers all aspects from animal resources, including livestock, fisheries, and wildlife across the entire African continent. It also fills a unique and strategic niche by working at the continental and regional levels, with RECs being key partners. Dr. Huyam Sali, the director of AU-IBA, is here with us, and she will be coming to speak on their mandate and especially why they are very, very passionate about having conversations on feed and fodder sector. Dr. the floor is yours. Most welcome.
Honorable PS, CEO of Nation Media Group, all partners, representatives of USAID, Gates Foundations, and Gatsby, all distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, with all the protocol observed. It is with great pleasure that I congratulate Kenya for holding its third Meat Expo, giving prominence, visibility, and decorum to an important economic sector for strategic importance to achieve the bottom-up economic transformation agenda known as BETA envisioned in this country. Honorable PS and guests, the focus of this event revolutionized the meat industry for bottom-up economic transformation calls us to reflect upon the livestock sector, and particularly the meat subsector, as an important economic sector to achieve BETA objectives. Africa holds the third of global animal populations, and the huge continental and global resources on average livestock contribute by 24.9% to the GDP. In some countries and regions in Africa, livestock is fastest growing agriculture sector, out-competing food and cash crop sectors. For at least 18 countries in Africa, increases in value added by tropical livestock unit is a driver of GDP per capita growth. And Kenya has one of the largest livestock herds on the continent and is among the forerunners in developing its livestock sector. Africa also has a huge youth dividend expected to generate 11 to 15% of the GDP growth between 2011 to 2030. And youth are expected to be the helm of shaping the future of this sector. Animal-sourced foods, including meat, are the fastest growing food subcategory in Africa, driven by rapid urbanization and a growing more affluent middle class. So the demand for the livestock products in Africa is anticipated not only to grow fast, but also more quickly than in most other regions of the world, from $51 billion annually to be tripled to 151 million by 2050. However, African consumption of livestock source proteins remains very low, at 12.2 grams per capita per day, which is less than the half of the global average of 26 per 8 grams. So despite the huge animal population in Africa, there is lack of capacity in domestic production and shortage in livestock products to meet the demand. For that, the continent is importing animal products estimates on 4 billion annually. In African Union, we measured within the CADA Biennial Review report the fund from the public to the agriculture and livestock sector. So the latest Biennial Review 2023 has reported very low levels of livestock sector spending against the indicator of LIDESA that suppose at least 30% of the public agriculture expenditure to be invested in livestock sector. So for the period from 2015 up to 2022, an average of 19.35% of agriculture expenditure in livestock sector. And during this period, in 2015, it was 30.82%, and then increased in 2020 to 15%, but then decreased again in 2022 to 12%, with only 5 countries in the continent expending more than 15% in the sector. So within the discussion on the different major challenges for livestock production systems in Africa, the key one is the climate change, which impacting on lack of pasture and quality feed, and also scarcity of water resources. In addition to the other management gaps represented in lack of systematic breeding and animal genetics improvement with poor marketing and trade. AUIPAR, as the Inter-African Bureau for Animal Resources, is mandated by the African Union member states to lead the development of the Africa's animal resources. We are guided by the Livestock Strategy for Africa, and with generous support from our development partners, we are working with the livestock actors, aiming to enhance the capacity for the livestock sector so that it can deliver and cover the demands to ensure the nutrition security, and also to ensure smooth flow of livestock within the African continental free trade area, with also the international trade. So AUIPAR strategic plans is to improve the sustainable animal production and health, and to enhance the market access and the compliance with the SPS measures. These plans are aiming to increase sustainable and resilient production and investments, engaging more private sector and more women and youth along the value chains. Currently, we are implementing one or two of the key projects that contributing to the livestock sustainable production, which are the first one, the RAFS, the Resilient Animal Feed and Fodder System project, and the African Pastoral Market Development Platform. And for these 2 projects, Kenya is a targeted country, beside other projects for fisheries and also SPS. So, Honorable Principal Secretary and guests, please receive once again the highest assurance of AUIPAR that IPAR will remain a partner with Kenya in the efforts to harness the potential of its livestock sector and the meat value chain. I thank you all, and asante sana.
Thank you, Dr. Ladies and gentlemen, we are moving on well. I'd now want to invite the leadership of Nation Media Group to continue with the program from this point. It is now my singular honor to invite the Group Chief Executive Officer of Nation Media Group, Stephen Kitagama. Pigia boss yangu makofi bana, tafadhali.
You know, Brian is negotiating something. So he thinks by clapping for me, he'll get it. He has to work very hard. So I think for the interest of time, I will not bore you with too many words, but I'm actually feeling that we should be out there feasting on the meat. I think the meat is getting cold. So we need to wind up, tumalize alafu tuende tukakule nyama kiasi fulani. So our Principal Secretary, Bwana Jonathan Mweke, from the State Department of Livestock Development, all our partners, our invited guests, all protocols observed. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Good morning. Thank you very much. Now, I think it gives me great pleasure to be here today as we start our third edition of the Meat Expo, which we started in partnership with a number of you partners who are here in 2021. And it's a great progress. The last edition, the second edition of the Meat Expo, which was held here, was a great success to us. We had 50 exhibitors and over 10,000 participants. That tells you the kind of interest that this had. Now, that has moved significantly. This year, we have over 70 exhibitors, and we expect many, many participants to visit our various stands and to actually interact with various exhibitors on various issues. Now, this sector is critical to this economy. We have been told it contributes 12% of the national GDP. And in addition to that, it contributes over about 50% of the employment in the agriculture sector. That means the sector supports about 10 million Kenyans. That's a significant sector. If you look at the neighboring countries of Somalia, Ethiopia, and a significant part of Sudan and Tanzania, this sector is a major employer. It's a sector that employs many people. It feeds many people. So it's a sector that cannot be ignored, and that's why we have our Principal Secretary here. And the theme of this third edition, revolutionizing the meat industry for bottom-up economic transformation, is relevant, and it tells you the importance of the sector because it is a sector that, in my view, it's still underutilized. It's a sector that could contribute close to 20% of our GDP and could support almost 20 million of our population. So it's a sector which, if properly harnessed, and the discussions that we are going to have later, where we're looking at the back end and the front end and the full value chain, is a very significant discussion that we hope at the end of the 3-day will have a significant impact on our economy. Now, despite all this importance of this sector, the sector faces a number of challenges. There are challenges. Right now, we are having good weather, but be sure that after about 4 or so months, that will change, and our livestock farmers will start having complaints of all nature. I think we need to avoid that. We need to avoid panic situations, but have a country where we can have throughout the year, our livestock is taken care of, and therefore that will take care of our pockets. Most of you here feed and will eat a meat product every day. That tells you the potential that we have in the sector. Now, ladies and gentlemen, revolutionizing the meat industries requires a shift towards sustainable and ethical production practices. Small-scale farmers who form the backbone of the Kenya agricultural sectors must be empowered with the knowledge and the resources to adapt practices that prioritize animal welfare, environmental conservation, and food safety. This will not only ensure long-term viability of the industry, but also align with global trends towards more responsible consumption. Now, we live in an era where technology is a center of what we do. We have been told technology keeps changing every day. We need to use, as part of our theme today, of revolutionizing the meat industry, how can we tap on technology? Technology and the advancement in this sector, from precision in terms of farming techniques to blockchain-enabled traceability solutions, can modernize the industry, enhance productivity, transparency, and accountability through the value chain. Using technology, we can know where the markets are, who needs what product, and who is able to provide what inputs. Now, but perhaps most importantly, revolutionizing the meat industry demands a collaborative effort involving the stakeholders from government, and that's why our principal sector is here, the industry, associations, to civil society organizations, and consumers themselves. This is the core reason why we initiated this conference, and by bringing together the producers, processors, retailers, policymakers, consumers, and other stakeholders in the meat industry, we create a wholesome platform to discuss and provide an avenue for positively transforming the industry. As a media house, we use our various platforms to enhance visibility of Kenya's livestock product locally and globally, while also showcasing the Kenya's sustained initiatives to produce high-quality products. You'll also notice that we have several exhibition stands providing a platform for stakeholders to interact more intimately and with the targeted consumer. I'm looking forward to a fruitful discussion, and as we build on the bankability of the livestock business, because I believe the entrepreneurs who are here, they are looking for avenues to make money, to make sustainable business and to make profitable business. I strongly believe by fostering the partnership and the dialogue in the industry, we can address the systematic challenges, advocate for policy reforms, and promote inclusive growth that benefits everyone involved. Now, the potential for revolutionizing the meat industry in Kenya is vast, and it requires concerted effort for us to realize it. And that explains why we have this Expo. Now, together, as we work towards a future where the meat industry not only thrives, but also serves as a catalyst for economic transformation and achieves our better agenda, the bottom-up economic transformation in this country. So I'm confident that this Expo, by the end of the 3 days, will lead to some fruitful outcomes to all the players. And at the end of the day, we'll have a significant impact on the economy of this nation. So I will end there, and you can clap for me. So I want to get instructions. Yes. So I've been requested to invite our chief guest, the Principal Secretary, State Department for Livestock Development, Honorable Jonathan Mweke, who himself is a livestock farmer. And I think he should tell us what he does with as he does this livestock business. And Karibu, you can clap for our PS. Thank you.
The group CEO of our partner, Nation Media, Mr. Stephen Gitagama, the director, African director of AU IBA, Madam Dr. Huyam Salih, Gatsby Africa, country director, Sam Karevi, USAID representative, Andrew McCowan, who we co-chair the Agriculture Sector Development Partners organization with, my colleagues from the ministry, strategic partners, exhibitors, ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning again. I'm very happy to be here with you today as we launch this year's 3rd edition of the Kenya Meat Expo. You realize the theme for this year is revolutionizing the meat industry for bottom-up economic transformation agenda. This, in plain English, means we are commercializing the livestock sector. There's a lot of initiatives that are being done to create an economic activity around livestock. We've heard here that livestock generates about 12% into our GDP. And the GDP really measures economic growth. Therefore, our economic transformation for livestock, we would like that to grow from 12% to about 20%, which then will bring significant growth to our livestock sector. As we embark on commercializing this sector, we have taken a value chain approach so that we can bring all actors from production to aggregation to value addition and manufacturing all the way to the market together, connect the dots, as Sam Kareithi said, and work as one unit so that we can commercialize our sector and put money into the pockets of all the actors in this sector, create jobs, and develop a viable export development plan. So we started this journey of commercializing our sector from the market. We wanted to understand demand-supply dynamics. So we've done a route-to-market strategy for the meat sector so that we can really understand what is the size of the market, where are the opportunities, who are the players in this market, what part of that market can we attain our market share, and what is it we need to do to break the barriers of entry into this market. And what we found, ladies and gentlemen, colleagues, it is a huge market. There's big demand globally for animal-based protein, meat, and dairy. And as Kenya, we are strategically placed because we already have the resources, 22 million herds of cattle, over 35 million goats, 24 million sheep. We have the resources. What is it that we need to do to produce what the market wants? We found the market wants quality beef products or meat products. It wants quantity, so the huge quantities, and it wants those both things consistently so that we don't provide a product today and then tomorrow it's not available. That has now led us to make some very key strategic interventions in the production sector so that we can ensure that our Kenyan farmers and producers can produce exactly what the market needs. To do this, we worked with all stakeholders. We put together academia, research institutions, market players. A lot of you here are the market players out in industry. Government and semi-autonomous government agencies. Development partners. All in one room where we're able to think very deeply about the interventions that we need to ensure that we produce for the market, and we produce competitively in a sustainable manner. We discovered 3 things. Number 1, we urgently need to improve the breed of our animals. We need to improve the breed so that we get breeds that produce optimally productivity in the environment we have here in Kenya, especially in the northern region where a lot of our livestock is found. Breeds that can go from birth to slaughter weight quickly with very little investment in feed. Breeds that are drought resistant, disease resistant, and breeds that can gain the weight that we need very quickly. We put together a team that was headed by an organization called KICC, Kenya Animal Genetic Resources Center, an organization within the Ministry of Agriculture and Livestock Development, who do multiplication of animal semen. We put together people from the university, people from ILRI, International Livestock Research Institution, CALRO, the Kenya Agricultural Research Organization, and some development partners, and the breeding associations. And with that, we've been able to come up with a national breed improvement program, which we are now executing. We now understand which breeds to promote. The indigenous Boran breed is a very good breed that we have here in Kenya that we've not marketed enough. A lot of the countries globally have come here, gotten our genetics for the Boran, developed those genetics, and now are claiming the Boran as theirs. We need to reclaim Boran as an indigenous Kenyan breed that produces quality beef for the market. Secondly, we spoke about issues feed. Feed has been a big thorn in the flesh of our industry. We faced drought. The worst drought in 40 years was just a few years ago. It claimed 2.5 million herds of cattle, worth about 500 billion shillings. And a lot more when you look at the cattle that survived but lost significant weight. So we have put very specific interventions in the animal feed and fodder area of livestock. We have now developed, as a State Department of Livestock, a national feed, animal feed balance sheet so that we can monitor the amount of feed that we are producing. We are working with several partners, the RAFS project here by AU IBA. We are working with FAO, the Food and Agricultural Organization, on the hand-in-hand program. We are working with Gatsby on animal feed as well. We are working with Kenya Development Corporation through one of the projects in my State Department called DRIVE, de-risking investments and value enhancement, that works in 23 of the ASAL counties, where we are de-risking private sector to entice them to come into commercial feed and fodder production. We are extending loans from government through KDC of under 10% with up to 24 months grace period over 10 years, something that you won't find in the commercial banking ecosystem, so that we can invite investors to come and fix our animal feed deficit, ensure that our animals have adequate feed and lower the cost of production so that we can be competitive both here locally and globally with our animal products. With this program, we are also offering large tracts of government land that have been lying idle and unproductive. A few months ago, our cabinet, chaired by His Excellency President Ruto, approved a program called the Land Commercialization Initiative, where we're able to offer to private sector large tracts of land for fodder and pasture production for our animals. I think we need to do more, especially in the storage and post-harvest losses in animal feed. Just yesterday and the day before, we were in Laikipia with the Gates Foundation. I see Obai Khalifa here, Gatsby, and private sector, and several other livestock stakeholders, where we were working on developing a national beef strategy. And we saw lots and lots of grass this high in Laikipia, everywhere we drove. My friends, when it dries up around October, if we don't harvest this grass, we bale it, we pellet it, we store it, it will all be gone. And we'll be facing another drought where we lose our animals. So we need to figure out how to harvest that and ensure that we mitigate on post-harvest losses. The third intervention is around animal health. We all know a sick animal is not just bad for human consumption, but it's very bad for trade. We are working with the counties and have agreed with them on how to implement a national vaccination program, which will be coordinated by national government with the partnership of all the counties. We want to eradicate FMD disease in our cows and PPR in our sheep and goat. Indeed, the AU IBA has a program that's funded by the European Commission to eradicate PPR in all of Africa. And we've been speaking with Dr. Huyam here, how we are going to plug in and ensure that our country can gain from that program. So we will be vaccinating all our cattle, all our goats, all our sheep, and indeed, President Ruto pronounced himself on Madaraka Day on the same program. We've already designed it, and the rollout is in process. We also need to take care of other diseases, like were mentioned here by the gentleman from KMC, ticks, worms, and just general animal husbandry to ensure that our cattle, our goats, our sheep, our pigs, camels, and all other value chains reach the productivity levels that would like to enable us to play in the global market. These three initiatives are critical to ensure that we meet what the market wants: quality, quantity, consistently. And with that, we will become a major player as Kenya in the global livestock market. There are some enablers that we have come up with, again, as government and other stakeholders, to ensure that we support these three initiatives. Number one is legislation. We've developed a livestock bill that is very progressive, that has all the input of stakeholders, that will work to commercialize our livestock sector. Some highlights of this bill is to anchor into law some of our institutions, like the Meat Training Institute, the Livestock Training Institute, the Animal Health and Industry Health Institute, AHITI, and other institutes that we have, National Beekeeping Institute. Our farms, anchor them in law so that we can use them to produce human resource that can go out there in the sector to enable them to produce and produce competitively. With this livestock bill, we are creating something that has been largely missing in our livestock sector, a livestock marketing council that will be largely led by the private sector and ensure that we can position our country as a premium beef, goat, red meat, poultry producer globally. So with that, we'll need to brand our livestock like we've branded our livestock products, like we've branded our coffee and our tea. We'll need to market it. We'll need to promote it for export. And we'll need a stamp of quality so that the whole world can know that if you're getting livestock products from Kenya, you're getting a quality product. So that is coming in the livestock bill. It was passed in cabinet a few months ago. It has gone through the Attorney General in a record 1 month, and it is now in Parliament. Just yesterday, I spoke with the leader of majority, the Honorable Kimani Ichung'wah, and he promised me once he's done with the finance bill, he's going to prioritize the passing in Parliament of the livestock bill so it can be assented into law and it can govern our industry. Another enabler that we are very proud of, that has been elusive for the last 14 years, is a livestock identification and traceability system. We all know now globally traceability is extremely important for food items and the food system, and countries are not going to import your products if you cannot trace them to the farm from where they came from. So we are going to get a system in the next few months. The tendering process is underway, and once we get a suitable vendor, we will be rolling out livestock identification and traceability, which will register all our livestock as resources. It will be able to track the feeding regimes, the nutrition regimes of our livestock. It will be able to track disease control in terms of deworming, cattle dipping for ticks, vaccinations, and all of that. And we'll get a digital ID of our livestock so that once you take your cow to the slaughterhouse, you have a certificate in which you can show how you have bred your livestock, and that will ensure that you get premium shilling, or if you're exporting, premium dollar for your livestock. So it's a game changer for us. It will also solve a security issue that this country has struggled with since independence, called cattle rustling. That will now be something of the past with this system. Lastly, as an enabler, we want to make policies as government based on evidence, based on research. So we've partnered very closely with our research institutions, the international one, ILRI, the local one, CALRO, and our universities, to ensure that we don't just do research for teaching, but we do research that can be applied in industry, so that we can use that research to guide, if it's fodder and pasture production, what varieties should we use? If it's breed improvement, what should we do? If it's vaccinations for our vaccine producers and manufacturers, how are we able to get this to market and do research for improved vaccines quickly and bring down the cost so that our farmers can be able to put more money in their pockets. So ladies and gentlemen, a lot is going on in our livestock sector, and I just want to assure all of you that government has a very strong focus under our bottom-up economic transformation agenda on livestock, because we understand that livestock is a very easy way to distribute wealth and reduce the gap between the rich and the poor. So we are committed. We'll work with all of you. I just want, as I conclude, to thank the organizing committee who organized this third Meat Expo with Mr. Makoha here, and your co-chair from the Nation Media Group, and all our other partners, exhibitors, sponsors, the industry for just coming to be with us today and over the next 3 days. Asanteni sana, we don't take your presence here for granted. I bring greetings from our minister, the Honorable Mithika Linturi. Tomorrow we have a very big field day in Meru for the Meru Dairy Cooperative, Meru Central Dairy Cooperative, which His Excellency the President will be gracing in Meru, where our ministry is putting together, through the Kenya Dairy Board, 20,000 farmers to sensitize them about our dairy industry and what it is we'd like to do to expand dairy as a priority value chain under our economic transformation agenda. So we agreed today to split so that I can officiate this function where he was supposed to be giving these remarks, and he goes to Meru to prepare the ground for the farmers and for His Excellency the President. So he brings his greetings, and he assures you also as a livestock subsector, all his regards and his commitment in growing this subsector. With those very, very many remarks, I'd like to wish you a good 3 days of networking, of learning, of closing deals, of ensuring we're able to connect the dots all the way from production, enhancing our value addition. I realize there's a lot of technology and meat processors who are exhibiting here who can really help the farmers offtake their products much quickly. And also market linkages through KICC. My friend Nick spoke here earlier. You're doing a good job in promoting export of our products. Let's just ensure that the quality is guaranteed always, and that we don't let down our customers abroad who have a lot of faith in our meat. I hereby now declare the third Kenya Meat Expo 2024 officially open.